Now, I often get asked the question about fish eating each other. Now, the first thing that you want to know is that if a fish can fit another fish in its mouth, there's every possibility of it doing it. So never put fish into a tank, regardless of the species, if the smaller fish fits into the bigger mouth without being aware of the risk. Now, in this case, I've got a very large giant gourami swimming around with a whole lot of little tetras, and he could easily swallow them, but he doesn't, because he's not a predatory fish. Now, with the cichlids, I'll often have a very large range of fish. I've got some very large catfish with some smaller clown loaches and various cichlids. Once again, there is always a risk if the biggest fish can fit the smaller fish in their mouth. So it comes down to the personality of the individual fish, and it also comes down to the species of the fish. So here's another giant gourami. Once again, he's in with quite a range of much smaller fish without a problem. And then we've got a cichlid tank here with quite a large compressor set with some other much smaller fish. So some of it's luck and some of it's just pure bad management. So at the end of the day, when you're introducing fish to each other, make sure the biggest fish can't fit the smallest fish in its mouth, and you're pretty much safe. Other than that, you do get to know the personalities of the fish that you've got, and then if you want to start getting adventurous as far as putting fish in there that are a risk, that's fine, as long as you understand that it is actually a risk. And very few fish, even the more aggressive ones, will rarely ever eat a fish that is bigger than what fits in its mouth. Some of the more aggressive marine fish like triggers and things like that are definitely a higher risk of eating other fish even if they don't fit in their mouth. But that's a real exception. So, you know, there are just plain aggressive fish like this guy. He's got such a... The other thing is that some fish have such a big mouth, like this fella, that you'll be surprised. He'll fit a fish almost the size of him in his mouth. So it is always a risk to add any fish that fits another fish in its mouth. And sometimes you're lucky and you get away with it, but most of the time you've just got to admit it's a risk.